Gee, Papa Ken, the camera's in the same position and the quality doesn't seem to have improved at all. Well, the reason is, camera's charged. However, can't find the memory card. No memory card, no recording. So, yeah. Let's just start the episode. Hello everyone, I'm Papa Kenn and welcome to episode 81 of Discovering Doctor Who. Yes, getting closer and closer to the infamous 100th episode. I wonder if it'll actually happen before I reach, well, not before I reach season 8, probably during season 8, yeah. But I'm rambling now. The episode I'm going to be talking about is The Journey to the Center of the TARDIS, or is it spelled Centre, because that's the British way to spell it, C-E-N-T-R. Again, I'm getting off topic. Let's start, as always, with my favorite parts of this episode. The first of which is, in my opinion, the character Clara comes through in a way. It's like, basically, we get a bit of the old Clara in her. It's like, you know, that old Clara shines through. It's like the old, bold, ready to do whatever it takes, ready to do whatever Clara, just, it shines through in it. It's hard to describe, but I really did get that feeling. If any of you disagree, let me know, but just from my perspective in this episode, we did get just that little bit of the old Clara, the one of the original Claras that we met before this Clara came around. Moving on, my second favorite part of this episode was the Doctor's persuasion, and I don't know, some people may see this as, you know, negatively as far as how the Doctor is supposed to act, I suppose, but the way he persuaded the brothers to help him out by pretending that he had set the self-destruct for the TARDIS, and just the way Matt Smith portrayed himself, that entire sequence was just brilliant. Like, I was completely convinced that he was, you know, setting the TARDIS to explode. Just nothing about the portrayal seemed silly or funny at all. It was just dead serious. Until, you know, afterward when he was actually making fun of himself. Well, that was pretty funny, but the persuasion itself at the beginning just really, really worked. I really liked that. Now, moving on, my third favorite part of this episode was when we got the voices of the old Doctors popping up, and it was very subtle, and I think even maybe some of the old companions as well. But it's like we get some of the voices of the classic Doctors, and I believe it was back when, I can't remember the brothers' names, but the older brother, the one that's kind of dopey, or portrayed as being a bit, you know, not completely right there in the head, but when he was going in there to start stripping the TARDIS, or the TARDIS core, and just we start hearing those voices, and just, I don't know, it's like, even though I haven't watched the classic series, anytime there are those reference to the classic era, I get a big smile on my face. It makes me really happy, because it makes me look forward to getting into those classic episodes someday soon. So yeah, no major reason there, but I really did like the fact that we got to hear some of the old Doctors, and, unless I'm mistaken, possibly even a little bit of the companions. Now moving on, my fourth favorite part of this episode was when we get to see the TARDIS's rebuilding center, or I don't know, I can't remember exactly what it's called, but basically the spot where it's basically the center where the TARDIS creates everything, where it creates all the infinite rooms, and it's a little bit weird to kind of try and wrap your mind around, because, you know, until that point it's always just assumed that the TARDIS was able to make things appear out of thin air because of, you know, time travel or something about, like, little maybe pocket dimensions inside of it. But no, the TARDIS actually makes all of these things, and even though it doesn't go into a whole lot of detail, just the fact that we get to see that center of where it supposedly occurs, where everything is created, was pretty sweet. I honestly did like that aspect of it. Now, once again, moving on, my fifth favorite part of the episode was the android brother. or, you know, obviously not really an android. And from the beginning, I liked his character. He seemed very sweet, very compassionate, very un-robot-like, which I was kind of expecting a twist of, I don't know, something would happen. It's like, you know, both of the brothers would be horrible, evil people, and the android would be the only one that, like, you know, really had compassion in his heart. You know, something along those lines. The actual twist, I was able to guess it. In the end, which I'll probably touch on that here in a little bit. But yeah, just the fact was, from the beginning to the end, I just really liked the character of the youngest brother, the android brother. So yeah, that was pretty cool. And finally, my sixth and final favorite part of this episode was the fire zombies. The idea of what they were, the fact that they were actually pretty intimidating, at least visually. The fact that they didn't really seem to do all that much other than chase them was a bit, like, you know, it kind of took away from the scariness a bit, but yeah, just, there definitely was the intimidation factor there, and then once we actually find out what they are, there's this very strong twist of, oh my god, that's really messed up. But yeah, so those are my favorite parts of this episode, and there's 6 of them, so, you know, you'd think that's, you know, looking really good for this episode. However, now that we move into my annoyances, the problems I had with this episode, I really only wrote down one, but it's very much all encapsulating. Basically, my annoyance with this episode was a bit of everything. And I think really the best way I can describe that is, while there were some fairly strong aspects of the episode, there were some, you know, strong points, like, you know, my favorite parts that I pointed out, it just felt weakly executed in a way. It felt off. Like, everything that was positive also seemed to have a staunch negative side to it. Like, well, the brothers, like, you know, I like the android brother. However, well, I guess one thing I did write down, he's not an android, as we find out when he gets, you know, stabbed by the nuclear spikes or whatever it is sticking out of the TARDIS, which I don't know about all the science behind that, but I would assume that would cause some lingering issues. But after he gets stabbed, like, it goes all the way through him, he gets up and he fights with his brother after he's being stabbed. Like, shortly afterward, they're in the furnace area or whatever, and he's, like, kicking and fighting against, you know, this monster, which, you know, that could be explained by adrenaline, absolutely, but, like, that kind of pain is, like, you know, if it happened immediately after, I could see that, but it happened a little while after, you know, and one would think that the pain had started to set in, because, I mean, it's like, you know, his eyes and his voice were apparently done by androids, but not his skin. Like, he wasn't a robot. He just has, like, you know, some robotic parts. And then, I don't know, it's really hard to describe, and I'm sure a lot of you will consider this a cop-out, but there was just a lot about the episode I found weak that I just didn't like overall. It felt off, and I honestly wish I could explain it a little bit better than that. I'm sure that there's something I could think of. Oh, well, the fire zombies even. One issue I had with that, although the Doctor explains it that, you know, if the two brothers touched after the original version of them, the fire zombies died, if they touched each other, then time would correct itself and force them into a merging. I don't know. I mean, there have definitely been some weird things that have happened in Doctor Who, but that was strangely just extremely far-fetched for me. And, yeah, I don't know. It's just, there was just a lot about this episode that bothered me, and it's really hard to describe. I apologize, my eye itches right now. But yeah, if any of you, I'm sure that there's probably some of you that do like this episode, and please point out some more positive points if you can, or possibly just, you know, completely shoot down my overall negative view of this episode. Because, you know, I would appreciate that. It might help me to get a better perspective on the episode that I just couldn't get on its own. But actually, that does bring me to one extra thing, and it's something that I couldn't categorize in either a favorite part or an annoyance. It's in a category I'm just going to call, I don't know, and it is this. It's when the Doctor confronts Clara. It's when they escape the fire zombies, and they're seemingly on this cliff. The Doctor thinks they're about to die, that the TARDIS is going to explode. And he confronts Clara. He gets right in her face. He basically says, "Who are you? Who are you really?" And, you know, he's basically being, you know, pretty much a jerk. And but at the same time, I can kind of understand the direction that he's coming from. It's like, you know, one, he's about to die. He wants to know really what's going on. And I mean, you know, we haven't been there within the entire time. If there's one thing I've learned from Matt Smith's era, it's that, you know, we have long periods of time where we probably don't see everything that's going on. So who knows how long that the Doctor has actually been searching for, you know, the truth behind who Clara is and what's going on. Does he confront her harshly? Does he confront her in a way that, you know, seems a bit violent, perhaps? Maybe. But at the same time, I can kind of understand. Even Clara says, like, you know, that she's scared of him, which is completely understandable. I would be scared of him too if he was acting all crazy like that. But in the end, I don't know, I think because of how that particular situation resolved, and again, because of things we might have not seen, because of things that could have been happening in the background as he's been searching and trying to figure out what's going on, I can kind of sort of see where the character is coming from. I don't know if it could have just been written in a better way or what, but like I said, that's not a favorite part, it's not really an annoyance for me, it's just a... I don't know. But alright, moving on from there, like, before we move on, like I was saying before, let me know some of your favorite parts, some of the parts you hated about this episode, what do you think about the point that I consider a, I don't know. Yeah, just let me know what all is going on there. But okay, time to move on to my track of the episode, and much like Hyde, this episode only had one original track, which is kind of weird and annoying, you know, since I'm trying to, you know, have a choice here, trying to pick my favorite. But I will say, the track itself, which is a machine that makes machines, you know, referencing the TARDIS's portion that, you know, actually makes machines, or makes things, I found the song to be pretty darn good. Much better than Hyde's one track, by far. So yeah, I definitely enjoyed that. I was able to listen to it all the way through. It's about 5 minutes long, I want to say. I could be a little bit off on there. But yeah, it's a good track overall, so give that a listen. If I can remember, I'll link to that here in the video on annotation. Now, time for my quote of an episode, or quote of the episode, I apologize. And it's part of what I felt brought out the old Clara, or made me see some of the old Clara shining through and, you know, our current Clara. I should be saying Clara a lot. But it's a quick conversation between the Doctor and Clara, and it goes like this. Running away with the spaceman in a box. Anything can happen to you. That's what I'm counting on. That right there, that was some of the old Clara attitude. It's like, you know, it's very brief, and it does shine through in certain other aspects of the episode, but overall, like, that one phrase just kind of solidified, okay, now this, I can see some of that old Clara in her right now. So yeah, I definitely like that. If you had any other favorite quotes from this episode, please do let me know. I mean, you know, there were a few others that I was trying to choose from, some funny, some, you know, a little bit more meaningful, but overall, that's the quote of the episode for me. And now, I mean, both this and the previous episode have pretty much confirmed, you know, that this is the original Clara. If none others, like this one especially, it just seems especially true that this is the original Clara. So, you know, as far as theory goes, there you go. Overall, I don't think I really need to explain my overall feelings on this episode. They're overall quite negative, unfortunately. There were definitely some parts of the episode that I liked. some favorite parts. I picked out 6 that I listed individually, but the episode as a whole just felt weak, and it felt off to a point where I just couldn't enjoy it overall. Yeah, again, I know that's probably a bit of a cop-out explanation, so if any of you feel differently, please do let me know, but yeah, I just, that's how I feel about this one. It's just overall not a good episode in my opinion. So yeah, sorry about that. Alright, now moving on to the, once again, the new segment that I'm doing here on the videos. It's time for another poem from the book An Eloquence of Time and Space by James Wylder. Once again, I'll link to the where you can find the book down below, and also to James Wylder's site. And let's get right into it with Journey to the Center of the TARDIS. There is a depth at the center of the world, when the machines of the gods are deus ex machina. To your belief, forging books of bubbles and laughter from iron to encase your burning flesh in a loop back. There is a depth at the center of the world, a pounding engine, like falling till the sky scatters into butterflies. Now, once again, this may be one of those, it's like, it's a very, I really do like the poem. It should be deus, no, it's deus ex machina, or I probably mispronounced it overall. It's a very nice poem. I'm able to get certain aspects of its connection to the episode. I think I need to maybe check with a few other things, or talk to James over Twitter a little bit, just to fully grasp what the poem means. But yeah, I'm really enjoying these. Again, I haven't had time to go through it all the way. I feel like that will give me a better feeling for how the poems connect to their episodes overall. But, once again, if you have any if you have any personal feelings on that poem, well, I've included here in the video, obviously, and also in the description down below. Let me know your thoughts on it, and, if you like it, be sure to send a word to James Wylder. Again, I'll link to his Facebook and Twitter down below. Now, moving on, the next episode is going to be The Crimson Horror, and hopefully by then I will have found my memory card so I can actually record these in the proper manner that they should be from now on my actual camera. But yeah, everyone, thank you very much for joining me for this episode of Discovering Doctor Who. I'm going to do my best to have another one out on Friday. Yes, I'm going to be, not quite rapid fire, but I'm going to be trying to get out as many of these as I can very soon. Now, before I close, I do have a question. I forgot to bring this up a little bit earlier, but... So moving on, I am approaching the end of my journey to catch up with Doctor Who. I mean, it's like there's still another season ahead, but, besides the point. I'm looking at other shows, and right now there are 3 that I intend on focusing on following getting caught up with Doctor Who, in different ways. I'll be explaining that in the future. But, basically, any of you that are talented as far as animation goes, I would like to ask if any of you could possibly make an intro sequence for Discovering Steven Universe, Discovering Gravity Falls, and Discovering Game of Thrones. Now, there are other shows that I'm going to be looking at that'll come in the future, and I will mention those later. And I completely understand that this is something that can potentially, would need to be done professionally, like, a little bit of money exchange for services. But if you or anyone you know might be interested, please do get in contact with me, or let me know in the comments down below, because I would love to have an intro ready to go once I get into those shows. The first of which I intend on starting will be Steven Universe. So yeah, I know a few of you might be pretty excited for that. But alright, thank you very much for listening to my question and for listening to me blather on and on and on and on. As always, you all are absolutely amazing. And oh yeah, one last thing before I sign off. 750 of you. There are 750 of you Kenvians that want to watch my videos, that are willing to watch my videos, that are subscribed to me and want to watch these silly videos that I make as I journey along my way through these different TV shows. Well, for now, Doctor Who, but soon to be different TV shows. I cannot thank you all enough. You all are absolutely amazing. I don't know what else to say. So yeah, everyone, thank you so much, and I will see you next time on the next Discovering Doctor Who for the Crimson Horror. Alonzi!